flood issues because there's just nowhere for that rain to go. It just sits there on that concrete, can't absorb. Well, we've got a lot more rain coming into the Ohio River Valley and that threat for stronger thunderstorms. You got some decent mid-level winds here. We also have that upper level energy. So we'll watch for some thunderstorms to develop here. We've already seen the lightning this morning. That, of course, would make a storm a thunderstorm because the lightning does cause thunder. Then we have this severe weather that's going to develop a little bit later today, and then that's going to move east as we head into our Friday. So what's happening? Why no rain here really in the southeast? High pressure has been kind of protecting us. Clockwise flow around that brings the moisture up on the west side of there. That is our first system that goes into the northeast as we head into this afternoon, overnight, into early morning hours tomorrow. Then we see our next system come in, and that means a chance for rain on Thursday. And then Friday, really Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. This is the hot spot for some of those stronger storms to develop. This is a much bigger system, so it is going to get into the southeast. Notice on Sunday how you get it into the Appalachians. Doesn't really push through the Atlanta, the Georgia kind of Carolinas, but it does linger into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, on into Texas as well. Then the whole thing kind of comes through a little bit later in the day for us. But with that said, we need the rain. We just got the new drought monitor. It's expanded here in the south. This area was clear of drought just 2 weeks ago, and now we do have the drought there that's expanded. Florida's expanded as well. It's really not good. So we'll take all the rain we can get. In fact, this even just lighter rain, if we could just get several days of that, that is top notch. What we don't want is the downpours like Jordan just showed us into Texas, where they're so heavy that even the grass can't absorb it quick enough here. So there is that possibility of flooding here. That lingers into our Saturday and Sunday. And then, of course, Sunday, as this thing drops down closer to the Gulf Coast, we still have that possibility of seeing the flooding rain. Through this afternoon, the flooding could happen along the Ohio River Valley from West Virginia all the way over into Illinois and Indiana. With that system that's coming through, that little piece of upper level energy is going to help us out here with the rain, pushes into the northeast. Notice some frozen stuff into New England overnight. Kind of lingers into early Friday morning, especially into New England, which juts out a little bit farther east. And then we look back to our next system that starts to take shape here for us. But with all of this mess coming through, you do have to worry about some icing here. And that's always the worst type of precip that you have to worry about. As we get our system to come through Saturday, look at the pink on the map here. Even just a glaze is going to be problematic for us. By the way, this is the same system that's causing the severe weather in the south. It is going to bring some showers here on Sunday, hopefully melting even more of any of that snow or really ice at this point, Jim, that's left on the ground.
All right, Abrams, you just showed the new drought monitor for the south. How in the name of did we not get relief in the Northeast?
Well, I don't know. And Jilly and I were talking about that, too.
2 to 4 inches liquid out of that blizzard.
Yeah.
New Jersey up into southern New England.
I don't know if the frozen ground plays a role in how they're doing it.
Yeah, maybe they look at reservoirs or something like that, and the reservoirs didn't come up because they're frozen.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Mother Nature's alarm clock firing off this morning. Storms rumbling across the map.
That's right. We've already seen several flash flood warnings. Heavy rain, strong storms. They could definitely impact your travel plans. Not only today, but over the next several days.
Yeah, and we're talking all hazards here, possible today and tomorrow. Hail, damaging winds, a threat for tornadoes. You can kind of see the threat here, Torcon value of 4. We could also see hail the size of limes. Get those cars parked where they can be covered.
Up to apple size tomorrow, and also that severe threat here going up to a 5 tomorrow with our tornadoes, 35 million at risk. And we could also see not only the hail and the tornadoes, but these damaging winds at 75 miles an hour. That'll definitely do some damage.
100%. Severe season we know is here because of this week. Make sure that you and your family have a plan and know your safe place to go at your home and if you're also traveling.
Well, this is America's Morning Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams alongside meteorologist Jordan Steele.
Morning.
And Jim Cantori. And Jim, March is roaring in like a lion.
This is dry line activated today. All right. Smaller area. Tomorrow, more large-scale features and more shear.
Features. Huge trough coming in. You've got the jet energy that's going to be strong. Mid-level winds are going to be strong. Low-level jet really cranks up. Check. You know, we have the instability, we have the moisture, we have the heat. So everything's coming together to give us quite an event as we head into our Friday. It is most likely from Texas up into southern portions of Wisconsin, but the biggest threat is going to be Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas. So let's go through the checks that Jim and I were just saying. Warm air, check. We have that in place, well above average here, even record-setting. Moisture, dew points, mid-50s or higher, check. We're going to have them in the 60s. That moist air is buoyant. There's your fuel. That's giving you some oomph in the atmosphere, check. It's not off the charts, but it's enough, about 1,000 joules per kilogram for my meteorologists out there. Let's talk about the low-level jet. Low-level jet, as I mentioned, this is it. It's going to be screaming in from the south, 40 to maybe 50-plus mile-an-hour winds. That is quite strong. Then you get to the mid-level, 80 to 100-mile-an-hour winds at the mid-level, which is very strong. And then some of that jet energy that's going to be cutting across here will be over 100 miles an hour. So not only do we have wind shear, we also have some directional shear, especially at the low levels. So you're going to have a lot of energy, a lot of twisting, a lot of forcing happening in the atmosphere. So I think we need 4 more check marks on there that I said. We've got all the checks here. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to balance the atmosphere. In fact, that's what the atmosphere is trying to do, is balance out the difference in temperatures. Overall, cold at the poles, warm at the equator. The Earth's trying to balance that out. It does it on a smaller scale when you're talking about over your house. Here are the winds tomorrow, again, over 75 miles an hour. Our hail, 2 inches or bigger. Lime-size hail is 2 inches. Apple-size hail is 3 inches. And then you go from there, where we could get some big hail, especially out of those rotating thunderstorms. Those are the supercells. They can really continue to keep that hail suspended, so it grows and grows and grows. 5 on our Toricon, so that means that we could have strong EF2 tornadoes, and you should monitor the forecast very closely. Here's that low-level shear that I was talking about. You get the southerly wind at the surface, go about 18,000 feet, and notice the winds cutting across that. So there are the winds at the surface changing direction with height and also speed. So you got the wind, you got the speed shear, and you also have the directional shear. And this is all going to develop mainly later in the day for us. We will see a few thunderstorms that are starting to pop off, but we will see bigger storms develop as we head around that 6 o'clock hour. And then notice 8, 9, we're going to see some of these more individual cells coming in. Kansas, you could be getting hit by some of these stronger storms. And then it's all going to be pushing east as we head into the overnight hours. Unfortunately, a lot of places that are getting heavy rain today and got heavy rain the last couple of systems as well are going to get more rain. So I am worried about flooding. 5 here on our Toricon. The scale goes to 10, 10 being the highest. You want to make sure that you get off the road into a sturdy building, close all doors and windows, bring in loose yard items, and you want to make sure you get weather alerts and a safe place, which is lowest level, most interior section of your home. A watch means conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes. A warning means a tornado is imminent or it's occurring. So a warning is much more dangerous. Jordan.
Steph, we have new pictures into the Weather Channel here this morning. Swift.
We've had a lot of rainfall in the past 24 hours. In fact, Dallas-Fort Worth saw a record rain of 1.55 inches yesterday, which is almost half what they get for their whole month. We averaged 3.30 for the entire month. So we saw nearly half a month's worth of rain yesterday in Dallas alone. We're still a little bit below average here by nearly 2 inches, but we, I'm sure, will make that up with more rain that's going to be coming on in. Flash flood warning for us here into Oklahoma. There's a couple of them as we've had this batch of thunder rumbling through and heavy rainfall with that. And then, of course, we've lost one of our flash flood warnings here, but still holding on to one into Missouri as that heavy rain moves into Louisville, Cincinnati, Eastern Pennsylvania, Ohio, Cleveland. You're seeing those clouds start to thicken, and we're starting to see some of that rain come in for us. Flash flood warning means that flash flooding is imminent or it's occurring, so do keep that in mind. We've had numerous reports of water over the roads. And by the way, a lot of these places average anywhere from like 3.5 to 4.5 inches of rain for the month of March. And some of these spots have gotten a month's worth of rainfall. Wouldn't be shocked if some of these are record-setting totals that we've gotten just so far. Sugar Creek is out of its banks here into Washington Court. Laurelville, high water reports over State Route 56. Water over the road here. Creek out of its bank into Mill Creek. Cape Girardeau, water flooded over roads downtown. Old Appleton. There are roads everywhere that are covered with water. Be very careful in and around anywhere that you have some creeks. This is our system causing all this mess. We got some strong mid-level winds as well. That could give us some thunderstorms too, and some of those could turn severe. By the way, the R with the arrow, that is a thunderstorm for you. Then we have our next big weather maker that is dipping down into the picture. Big strong jet coming around this. This whole thing is going to sweep east, and it is going to give us a threat of severe weather not only today, but also as we head into tomorrow. Today we got a dry line. You get the most thunderstorms where you have this warm, dry air that is more dense, by the way, than warm, moist air, where those are coming into the best convergence like that. You get the biggest thunderstorms. Moist air is actually very buoyant, so it's less dense, right? So you have more dense, less dense. So more dense comes and undercuts and gives us those big thunderstorms. Once you get down in the southern part of this, sometimes it's not as dry on this side, so you don't get as big of thunderstorms here. But remember, you do have very dry air that's giving us the thunderstorms. Dry air also can go into the top of some of these thunderstorms. You could have evaporative cooling, so the dry air evaporates some of the moisture, and you can get a cold pocket, and that can give you some strong winds. Also can help with hail development too. And of course, we have to worry about tornadoes as we go through the day today. Wind, hail, you're talking lime-size hail, damaging hail, and this is kind of the precursor to the big show tomorrow, but you'll see the storms. There they are, and that is a hail core right there. That is going to knock you off your socks, and notice it does continue as we head into the overnight, as we eastbound on Friday morning. Then we're going to reset for the next system that's going to come on through. But, Jim, I hate that it's going to be happening when the sun sets for us.
Yeah, I mean, after dark storms, kind of typical of spring, you kind of hate that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, though, you mentioned something interesting.
What's that?
We reset with a clean slate. There's no showers, thunderstorms out there to really speak of that are going to get in the way.
I'm an auntie. You can do whatever you want, kid. Go for it. I mean, she was soaked when we got home, but
whose car were you driving?
No, it's London. We were walking.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like getting back in the car.
Here's your kid back.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm like, all right, let's take everything off outside the house, type of a thing. But it was funny how it starts off and the kid looks at you like, can I do this? Can't I do this? And I'm like, I'm an auntie. Do whatever you want. It's the best part about being an auntie. We do have our next big system bringing snow in the west, but of course, first system could be disruptive to some flights here. And of course, it's already causing some of the roads to be covered in water for us. We do have a flash flood warning here into Missouri, but looks are deceiving because there's been so much heavy rain here that we have multiple streets that have roads covered that are impassable. Louisville, heavy rain coming in for us, and also a lot of fog with all this warm air that we have here that's condensing. And notice Lincoln, a quarter-mile visibility. Chicago's going up. We're now at 1.5 miles, so that's great for flights here. Cedar Rapids, 1 mile. So this is really problematic when you have drivers on the road. Planes can do pretty okay in the fog, and things are going to lift as we head throughout the day. Ground delay here at Reagan. Visibility is only at 1 mile, but it's only 24 minutes. And I feel like they pack in enough time, Jordan, where it doesn't make things terrible. Ice today, we'll have more ice as we head into the weekend.
All right, well, as we move on here.
Even where you do have grass, it's coming down so heavily that it might not necessarily soak on in. We do have that threat for severe weather with some stronger mid-level winds here, upper level support. But the real threat we're dealing with right now is all the flooding that we are getting out of some of this rainfall here. And I'm talking about a month's worth of rainfall in some instances for us here. We also have severe weather back into the plains, especially as we head into tomorrow. High pressure has been feeding that moisture up and around, and we do have those clouds and showers for us here in the Midwest. That moves into the Northeast this afternoon and into early tomorrow morning. Then we reset Thursday and then into our Friday. We'll see the threat for storms. I know that doesn't look too ominous, but trust me, it is. I know that Saturday kind of looks more ominous because you see more green on the map, but you're going to have those little supercells potentially today and then into tomorrow. There's a better chance for EF2 tornadoes to pop off. This just shows a bigger swath of rain that is going to be moving south. We need the rain. We need the rain badly. We did just get the new in Florida has expanded. It expanded into the southeast here. Anywhere in Alabama really has kind of expanded. Mississippi, Louisiana. That rains Sunday, all day Sunday, and then Monday finally kind of drops down to the Gulf Coast. So there is your drought monitor. Notice how bad it is here into Arkansas, even up into the Midwest, parts of Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma. So a lot of us do need it. And we will get it, 2 to 3 inches of it as we head through our Sunday. So with that said, a lot of this could be heavy. It could be repetitive. So that means that there is that threat for flooding. This is Friday into Saturday. And then as that whole system moves, that threat for the flooding does as well. Saturday into Sunday, and then drops down to the Gulf Coast here as we head for our Sunday into our Monday. But today, this is where we're seeing big time flooding here. We've had reports of numerous roads overrun by water. Also a little bit of frozen stuff here into the Northeast. We get a better chance of frozen precip as we head into our Saturday. But watch system number 1 through. Notice you'll get a little bit of snow, mainly rain, but then the next system comes in, the one that causes the severe weather. That gives us this frozen precip. I want to be able to show that forecast really quick if I could, Jim. Sorry to take your time. There it is on Saturday, showing a little icing, then rain on Sunday.
All right, so let's get into this pattern here.